this is Emmy from Expat TV, and I am here today to chat to you about a really important thing coming up to Christmas. So this is actually a very topical video now at Christmas time, but also during the rest of the year. Because what often happens at Christmas and holiday time is that you're going to be going home to see your family again, or they might come and visit you and you haven't seen them for a while. And a question I often get from my clients is that, how do I cope? I love my family so much, but they drive me crazy and I don't really know how to deal with it. So there's quite a few things you can do, and I've got 3 key tips for you to prep for Christmas or whatever you've got coming up, because there's a lot you can actually choose to do beforehand to have a really balanced Christmas. Firstly, why is this important? Well, I think we all know, most of us would like to have a calm Christmas that's drama-free, nice and balanced, lots of fun, good food, good company, and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing you got to do is to choose your thinking. Now that sounds easy, but there's a really cool thing called cause and effect. Now, cause is what we call above the line thinking, which means that you are at course, or you decide what happens in your life or what you take on board. Effect is where you are at the effect of what other people choose to do or say to you. So for example, if your thinking in general around Christmas or whatever you've got coming up is to be at course and decide that you choose your response, not someone else. If you choose to be at effect and play up in your head how Uncle so-and-so or a sibling or someone else is going to annoy you, then you're actually at the effect of that person's behavior, which will give you a very different result. So choose to be above the line and choose to be quite aware that you choose yourself what you want to take on board this Christmas. Now you've got your thinking organized. Second one is to listen. This one I talk a lot about in my videos, and it is really important because you need to listen to understand them before they can understand you. What do I mean by this? Well, a lot of expats, they live overseas, they have all these weird and wonderful experiences, and then they come home to their family or their friends. And with their family and friends, things might not have changed as much as they have for you. And sometimes you might find yourself wondering, like, why don't they ask about me? Why don't they ask how I'm going? Why don't they ask me to share my story? Now, people, generally speaking, think of themselves first. It's not because we're selfish or mean or evil, but that's usually where our thinking starts. I want to tell my story. I want to share my experience. If you start this Christmas, tip number 2, by listening to understand before you want to be understood, you'll find that things are going to be very different for you this year. How do you do this, you might ask? Well, ask questions about how they are, what's going on for them, how's work, how's this, that, and the other. And, you know, really choose to dive in there and listen for what they're saying, not just the words, but what's behind the words. Are they sad or upset? And show that you understand. So, for example, if someone talks to you about a challenging thing at work, be there and listen to them and actually go, oh, I appreciate that that's really, really challenging for you. I'm so sorry to hear that. Or whatever it might be, that's a suitable response. And interestingly enough, when you do a little bit of this around the Christmas table or around the dinner table, if it's not Christmas time when you listen to this video, make sure that you start to pay attention on how people actually start asking you how you are. So be generous with your time and your energy this Christmas, because it doesn't cost anything to listen and really care about someone else. Third tip, and most importantly, receive everything and decide later. Now, Christmas time or family time is one of those times of year when people very often decide to give you advice without ever being asked about it. So, for example, you know, oh, how come you're still single, blah, 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 maybe you should try this, that, and the other. Or whatever it might be in your family, you know, oh, you need a new job. Well, I heard about someone who just did this thing and that sorted them out. Now, whether or not this advice is useful for you, just decide to receive it all and decide later what to do with it. I want you to see any advice that you get this Christmas, or any comments or feedback or anything that might in the past have bothered you a little bit, receive it and see it as a Christmas present. You know, at Christmas when you get your physical gifts, you know, you can get anything from the itchy woolen sweater that you know the moment you open it that you're never going to wear, but you still receive it and say thank you to whoever gave that to you. Likewise, if you get a great gift, a really cool thing that you've wanted for a really long time, and the person gives that to you, you go, oh, thank you. Now you receive that gift as well. It's up to you in those moments after Christmas or after these events have happened to decide what you want to do with it. Do you want to keep that advice? Do you want to use it? Do you want to store it in the cupboards for later on? Whatever is true for you, just choose in that moment to be generous and receive everything. And the interesting thing is, when you start to receive rather than put up resistance, you're going to start seeing very different results in your family. So those are my 3 best tips for a really nice and balanced Christmas. Lastly, I want to leave you with this. I often get people saying, well, I tried to apply your tips, Emmy, and that was really great, but then I just couldn't help myself, and my father or my mother or someone said something that really annoyed me, and I snapped. And I just said this thing, and I feel awful about it. You know what the best way to do is to say, I'm sorry. Just if you've snapped, if you've done something that you're not very proud of, honestly, just come out and say, look, mate, I am so sorry I said that. That was really uncalled for and I do apologize. Because to say I'm sorry, it doesn't mean that, you know, that person was right in saying or doing something. It means that you chose your response and you knew at the time, and you probably know after, that the specific response you chose at that time was not one that you wanted to use. So forgive yourself, be nice and friendly, and I would love to hear your tips on this. So if you want to do some comments below this video, or send us an email at hello@thebridgecoaching.com.au. I would love to hear your tips, because Christmas time or family time any time of year can be really challenging, and I'd love for us expats to share these things together and learn and grow and do really cool things and make it better next time. So until we meet again, happy travels.